Hey everyone, this is Rich, Plant-Based Coaches Podcast. I'm joined here today with Dr. Suzanne Fox.
Hey, everybody.
We're hoping you'll subscribe to our channel, and we're honored to have Chuck Carroll as our guest today. I've been following his work for years. We've been friends for a couple of years. I've been on his show as well. Him and I have a similar journey with weight loss. Yeah, he's a weight loss champion, as his name suggests. How much weight did you lose, Chuck?
At my lightest, it was 280. So now it's more like 230. But
Still pretty good.
it's been it's just been an interesting few years. I'll definitely get back to that 280 mark.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but I'm sure we'll get into all
me by a
that.
couple pounds. It was 160 pounds lost.
Hey, look,
Not
that's
as a
nothing.
contest.
As
Yeah.
my grandma would say, that's nothing to shake a stick at. So that's a heck of a lot of weight, man. And I'm proud of you. You look great, sir.
And you too, you as well.
Thank you.
But yeah, if you want to first get into your background about your weight loss, because it's such an incredible story, if you want to just
Really
talk a
is.
few minutes about it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, at my heaviest, I was 420 pounds, which is, I mean, well beyond twice the size I am today. And I was on the heart attack superhighway. I mean, I'd been on blood pressure medication since I was a, eighth grader, and
Mhm.
antidepressants since middle school, and blood pressure, even on blood pressure medication was like routinely in, 180 over 110, 120. It just like completely, just put me on an early path to a grave site, and heart disease, like so many other families out there, it ran in mine. And I never got the opportunity to meet my dad's dad because he passed away before I was even born from a heart attack. And then, my own father has heart issues. My grandfather on my mother's side, he too had heart issues. And so when I was at my heaviest, it was at a point when, I could barely walk, but 15, 20 feet without my own chest starting to tighten and spasm up, and color would just drain from my face and I'd be sweating profusely.
Mm.
And I knew that if I didn't make some substantial changes, that I would wind up, potentially not even seeing my 30th birthday.
Wow.
And, I didn't want to do that. Nobody to that point was able to tell me what eating healthy actually meant, how to truly diet. And so I had gone up and down the scale a whole bunch of times, and each one of those failed diets, wound up gaining more weight than ever, and just finally threw in the towel, threw up my hands, didn't know what else to do, and wound up having weight loss surgery. And that was just the first step, come to find out, because even with that, they don't really tell you how to eat. They just
Sure.
tell you to eat smaller portions. And you don't have a choice at first, but the stomach, what people need to keep in mind is that a couple of things. One, the stomach is very much like a balloon. It's elastic. So even though after the weight loss surgery, you can only fit about 4 ounces, which is like, the size of your thumb. But then eventually it'll, balloon back up and you can get it to pretty, normal size stomach again. And you can very much eat your way out of it. And without a recipe for how to truly eat, I feel like a lot of patients are set up to fail. As a matter of fact, they told me when I went in for the consultation on the very first day, they said, look, if you regain the weight, don't worry, we'll go back and we'll do what we call
Oh,
a
yeah.
revision surgery, which would be a second weight loss
Yep.
surgery. And, I kind of thought that that was a bit of a head scratcher. The idea of one surgery was more than enough for me. And
Yeah.
I couldn't stomach, pardon the pun, the thought of doing two. And sure enough, I lose a whole lot of weight. I kind of become the poster boy for this weight loss center. And the one thing that I did differently than anybody else was I made up my mind to never go back to eating fast food. And that, I think, was what separated me from, long-term success initially versus everybody else who within a year and a half had started to regain the weight. And because I knew better, then that set me up for long-term success, and at least gave me enough time to truly find what eating healthy meant, even though at that point, to me, eating healthy meant, ground turkey instead of ground beef, chicken instead of pork, that kind of stuff.
Mm.
Um, and it would be a very long journey still before I learned about what it truly meant to eat healthy, and that was really kind of just by chance.
Yeah. We have to start somewhere. And
Yeah, man.
yeah.
But that was just kind of like the long and short of it. And then eventually the weight did begin to creep back up for me a little bit. And then I was doing a sports talk show here in the Washington, D.C. area where I live, and was asked if I would be interested in doing this PSA campaign for an organization called PCRM. Myself and my co-host, who was a player for the NFL team here in town, and we said yes, and that was my first, you know, indoctrination into what eating healthy actually meant. And it would still be another 2 years before I went fully plant-based, but then, talking to some other athletes who were themselves plant-based, I decided to go all in. And the rest of that baby weight kind of just fell off and didn't have to worry about going up and down the scale anymore. And
It's a great
certainly no
feeling.
more antidepressants. Yeah, man, it was great.
Yeah.
That's
And
fantastic.
what year did you go fully plant-based? Do you remember?
Oh my goodness. So what are we on, season 8 of the exam? So this was, I'm coming up on my decade anniversary. So it would have been 2000 and probably 2006.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure you have no regrets about that. I know.
None whatsoever. I mean, especially now facing, these other challenges. If anything, it's really, staved off a lot of what could be's, or it could have been a lot worse kind of deals. So every day I'm grateful for this diet for sure.
And
Yeah.
speaking of challenges, because I know we all face a number of challenges, some plant-based, doctors in the community, they don't want to share their stories. And, I get that because, plant-based foods obviously can heal a lot of things, but nothing's 100%. And I know you've faced some challenges the past few years. So, when did this first come on? Some of these challenges.
Well, let's start by talking about what the challenges were.
Yeah.
And, it's, I think, coming up, it'll be 3 years in the spring that this all began, and it just started with really severe bloating. I mean, so bad that I was wearing an abdominal binder, basically a wrap around my entire stomach that somebody would wear after they had just had like an abdominal surgery.
Oh, yeah, I had the tummy tuck and I had to wear that.
Yes. All right. So you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? And so you do that, and like that was just to get some relief, and then I'm just like kept making this thing tighter and tighter because the bloating was getting so much worse. And I found like the hardest foam roller I could, and like I would just like roll my belly on it, like just trying to like move through whatever was stuck there. And it just got worse and worse and worse, and I was miserable. And then, like heartburn set in, and like I go to the gastroenterologist and had an endoscopy, and that came up normal. They were puzzled by that, and put me on heavy doses of PPIs, and like nothing was really working. And so I was thinking like this would turn out to be something like SIBO. But little did I know that only a couple months later, as they're continuing to try to look for answers, that the symptoms would get so much worse and evolve and morph from going or go from being just the bloating, which was miserable enough on its own, to then having these cognitive issues where every day it kind of felt like after I would eat, I would just feel like completely disconnected, or, I say it feels like being drunk or stoned without actually being, intoxicated. It's just you're present, but you're not present. And it felt like my chest was on fire, like literally burning. Like this wonderful Floridian doctor, Monica Agrawal, wrote a book called Your Body on Fire. And I always think about that for like literally it felt like my entire chest was on fire and my world was just spinning, and I like couldn't breathe, and I'm just like so bloated. I was miserable.
Yeah.
And I was trapped out in LA on a business trip, and I literally thought I was going to die. I had no idea what was going on. And, luckily being in the position to work with the physicians committee, like I have a lot of doctors, on my phone, and I called Christy Funk and I said, look, doc, here's what's going on, and I'm out in your neck of the woods, where should I go? What should I do? Who should I talk to? And she set me up, with her people out there, just and put me at ease. But, you know, again, just as all of those endoscopies and procedures and tests in the Washington, D.C. area were coming up normal, so too were these scans out in the Los Angeles area.
Real.
And so, like, I didn't know if I was going to make it home on a flight. Like, I just didn't know. And I decided to risk it one morning and just hopped aboard the first flight I could back east and got the next appointment that I could. And they still didn't know. And the long and short of it is the doctors at Johns Hopkins didn't know if I was dying or not. I asked them. They said, we don't know. I had my gallbladder taken out, thinking that that was problematic. There was nothing wrong with the gallbladder. That only made the symptoms worse. And at that point, I wasn't even eating because my symptoms were so severe every time I ate, no matter what it was. Even sometimes drinking, a little bit of water would trigger this.
Mm-hmm.
And did it burn as it went down too? Is that part of the problem?
What was it?
Would it burn as it goes down too when you swallow it?
Sometimes there was not a lot of stomach acid at that point because I wasn't eating, and so my weight whittled all the way down to about like 117, maybe a little bit less than that at my lightest. And I didn't have a lot of reserves built up when I was at 140, and so like it didn't take me very long to get down to 117, and 140 was my normal weight. And so just very weak, disoriented, and nobody had any answers for me until I went to see a doctor in North Carolina, a gentleman by the name of Dr. Douglas Drossman, who was Dr. Will Bulsiewicz's mentor. And he was the first one that, introduced me to the term DGBI, or disorder of the gut-brain interaction. It was like, basically explaining that all of your symptoms are very much real, but your nerves are so hypersensitive right now because the, part of your brain that allows you to rest essentially is like, being blocked off, like it's burned out. And so you're just stuck in fight or flight mode because of, a lot of stress that I was going through in my personal life. Work was, it's a lot of work and a lot of pressure when you, especially when you're, doing a public figure. And I'm not saying I'm a celebrity.
You are.
But the show was, but the show was very popular, luckily. And yeah, and there's a lot of pressure that comes with that. And so it's like, working these 60, 70-hour work weeks, things at home, there's, major crises going on there. It's just, you can only do that for so long. And, for years and years and years to go through that. Eventually, as this doctor explained, which it sounded a little bit woo-woo to me at first, but there is published, research on it. The more I look at it, I kind of felt like he, got me going in the right direction. And so, through the use of some therapeutics and things, we're doing a little bit better. But, now being under the care of doctors at the Mayo Clinic, again, shout out to Dr. Brian Carlson for being able to get me in there. I am still searching for answers. I feel like there's something functionally wrong, like physically wrong. They found a few things that would explain some of the symptoms, but certainly not all of them. To this day, like even drinking water, I still get some pretty wicked heartburn.
Wow.
And and the brain fog or the drunken stone feeling persists. But I think the thing, I'm able to hide that from the public. And so if those were the only two symptoms, then, nobody would have any clue, and I would have just, kind of suffered in silence. But, my metabolism has gotten really wonky because I went, like 6 months, 7 months, maybe longer than that, eating just, 200 calories a day. And so now my body's clinging on to every calorie that it can. And that's frustrating. And so like, that's why, I got back up to 140 and just kind of kept going. I've hit that plateau now, luckily. But, I understand why some people would be like, oh, this dude's back at Taco Bell. And it's like, no, nothing's further from the truth. Trust me.
Right.
Yeah. Like I just ate some, lentils and spinach and carrots and black beans for lunch, and it was delicious. A little bit of hot sauce on there. was
Yeah.
so good. That's what I
Absolutely.
love. Super basic, just simple foods,
Yeah.
but you know, that would not get me back up to my present weight. And but nonetheless, here we are. But I feel like it's important to talk about this and put the truth out there because I feel like there are still a lot of people who suffer with whatever the ailment is, who feel like they have been doing all the right things and then still something happens. And my message is, well, it's twofold. It's like, you see me wearing the hat now, never give up.
I love
Very
it. Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
important
Very
message. But
important. Yeah.
but number two, you know, sometimes things do happen. Your body changes, it breaks down on you essentially. And it's not necessarily your fault, but it's like the doctors have explained to me. It's like, yes, you're not exactly in a great situation now, but if you were still leading that unhealthy lifestyle, your
Mm-mm.
situation would be infinitely worse off than it
Mm.
is
Yep.
right now.
You
And
wouldn't
that's
even be
that's what I
here.
keep in mind.
You wouldn't even be here. You
Yeah.
wouldn't even be here, Chuck. You really, I mean, that is incredible, the strength that you've shown throughout this entire thing. I mean, do you still have the bloating and the pain in your belly and everything? Is that still going on?
Yes, unfortunately. So one of the things that they found was a hiatal hernia.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And so we're kind of going to figure out, do we want to go in and repair that? That certainly would explain the bloating and things like that. But, it wouldn't necessarily, in their opinion, explain the neurologic type symptoms. And so this might be a complex, multifactorial kind of thing. And 3 years in and, having, Mayo be a little bit puzzled by it too, kind of leads me to think
That's
that
kind
there's
of
more going
awful.
on.
Have you tried I know it's going to sound very simplistic because I'm sure you've already done all this, but have you tried the lemon water celery juice thing?
I can't say that I have done that one. No, I've tried a
Okay.
lot of things,
That's that's
but
what I
it's
had to
not
do
just
that
one.
to. They told me I had lupus, and that's how I got rid of that. So
Hmm.
just I'm already plant based, so it's kind of horrifying that I should be diagnosed with something as stupid as lupus. I'm like, no, 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 we're not
Yeah.
doing this. And I went to the doctor and the rheumatologist, and you're sitting there looking at all the people on the drips and things, and I'm just like, that is not. I'm not going to go there without a huge fight, right?
Yeah.
So I just, I know I know that you are in the PCRM world, and it's very much science based, but you're dealing with the brain body connection here. And it's 32 ounces of lemon water, 16 ounces of celery juice every morning. Just, I don't know what it does, but it does something miraculous. So,
I
yeah.
mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'd much rather
Mhm.
have a cup of coffee, but
You can have the coffee after you digest your celery juice. I do the coffee after I digest the celery juice. I have to tell you, that's what I have to, but I have to, if I start having the symptoms, I have to start that protocol all over again. And then it's gone. And it's gone for however long it keeps it away. I don't know
okay.
if it's psychological. Like I said, I don't know if there's the nerve. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it seems to certainly work. So
Okay.
something
Well,
to keep in mind.
I
Yeah.
will I will do some investigating. I think, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, for me, it's like obviously my whole body just appears puffy and swollen and
Yeah,
like
that's why
that
I was
just
having lots of bloating
yeah.
issues like that. I was having a lot of difficulty, and I ended up hospitalized from, similar. It was awful. So I was just like, nothing wrong, of course. So
Yeah.
I just watched I know this is going to sound hooky, but the medical medium stuff, and that kind of set me on the right path for
Right
that, of
on.
course. And I mean, it's worth a try.
Whatever
It's,
works,
yeah,
man. I'm open to
yeah,
anything.
yeah.
But yeah, the bloating is very annoying, and they're to be honest and vulnerable with you guys. Like it's hard.
It
Again, like
is.
being a public figure, and
Of
then
course.
like just not feeling your best, certainly not looking your best, and like I was talking with somebody else who's in this space who is also struggling right now and dealing with the significant amount of bloating as part of their complications. I won't
We're
call it a
supposed to be
crisis, just a
bulletproof.
complication.
We're supposed to be bulletproof in this space. That's the problem, is we're
Yeah,
supposed to be bulletproof. And then when we have to deal with something that's very challenging like that, you know, it's very hard,
yeah,
mentally and emotionally and physically, very hard.
yeah. I mean, so yeah, I mean, so to give you guys an example here, it's like, I ate my portions are not, they're still not huge because I find like if I overeat, then like I'm very much gonna be, paying for it because of the bloating.
Yeah.
But even still, like having maybe 3/4 of a pound worth of a meal here, like I like right now, if I were to stand up, it would look like I'm pregnant with twins. which, would be one heck of a story for the National Enquirer, but that's not the
Right.
story that I want to tell, in this space.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, this
And they
guy.
haven't found a thing going on, nothing. I mean, obviously the Mayo Clinic's involved in everything at this point, and that's the crazy part. That's the crazy part, you know?
So the hiatal hernia would explain the bloating and
Right.
all of the GI symptoms. So the neurologic stuff is kind of where they're still puzzled. It could be a long-term complication of the weight loss surgery, and we don't know why it wouldn't have appeared until, like 12, however many years after I lost the weight. Like, we just don't know. But we will, I am confident that we'll figure it out. And,
I do have a question about that because you
yeah.
mentioned the surgery. In the back of my mind, I was thinking about that as well because this is sort of related because I have an inguinal hernia. Never had surgery on it, but I worry about the material. And because I know some people can be allergic to some of the sutures that they use. And I
Oh,
wonder
that's something that they can test you for, I'm sure, ahead of time.
and I wonder if you had any kind of sutures that stayed inside you that maybe you were allergic to.
I don't know. Well, sutures, no. I mean, but when they staple off your stomach, I
Yeah,
mean, the
that's what I
staples are
mean.
in there.
Material.
But again, it would be, we're talking like 12 years. Like, why would it take that long? And obviously, the body changes over time. And, I haven't heard that one presented. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not
Yeah,
able to answer that question. That's why
right,
I go
right.
see the fine folks in Rochester, Minnesota to answer those types of questions. But
Absolutely.
that one at least hasn't come up.
Yeah. I mean, I know the body heals over these materials, and
Yeah.
sometimes they're not an issue, but it's just something that came to my mind.
No, I mean, look, I'm at this
I know
time,
you're looking
I
for
don't
answers.
judge, I don't judge anybody's suggestions, anybody's questions, because nobody's been able to figure it out. And Rich, if you're the one that's like able to crack this case, then God bless you, sir. I will buy you the winning lottery ticket, or at least do my best to buy you the
Yeah,
winning
right.
lottery ticket. I'll get you a lottery ticket. That much I can promise you.
Very frustrating. Well, I mean, it's worth trying the lemon water celery juice combo. I mean, it's not going to hurt you and might help. So,
Maybe, but I'm definitely chasing that one down with coffee.
Yeah. No,
absolutely. As soon as it gets down, it's just it's a lot of liquid all at once, so
Yeah,
it's kind of take it over a couple of hours, of course.
was
sure
it
thing.
tough to present your story? 'Cause, I'm thinking of people like Chef AJ, and she had to, you know, deal with this for a while before she came out about it.
Yes, I was very nervous about it and had done a good job of hiding it, and probably honestly still would be hiding it if, my body didn't, swell up on me. So, yeah, man, like, because you never, there's a couple of concerns. One, you don't want to feel like you're letting anybody down. Like,
Yeah,
oh, well, look at Chuck. He's supposed to be the pillar of health, and here he is struggling. It's like, come on, man. Like, I just didn't even want to go down that road, even though I do think like anybody who would judge me for that would be, totally unfair.
You don't want to your life anyway.
The other thing is like I never also want to turn anybody off from the idea of eating a healthier diet, the one that I, would recommend, and the one that I believe, the research, the science, call it what you will, has proven time and again to be the optimal diet for human health. I don't want to dissuade anybody from doing that. And so I'm very cognizant of that. I just wish that people would go back and listen more carefully to how we frame things in the show and how research is framed. It's about risk reduction. It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
a silver bullet, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
People are way too complex for the silver bullet method, like you said,
100%.
it is
100%.
what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have your doctors told you that the plant-based lifestyle probably helped you, in some kind of way, benefited you during this time?
Yeah, again, they were like, look, if you didn't eat the way that you did, if you didn't take care of yourself the way that you did, this likely would be far, far, far worse. I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, like, because there are days, Rich, when like I just feel so crummy.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, don't want to get out of bed. Like, just uh, think about like being on a roller coaster like 20 times in a row and how disoriented you are. Like that's kind of what
yeah,
it feels like. My wife's like, well, maybe it's vertigo. I was like, I think we're a little past it. Whatever. Anyway,
yeah.
you know, but if I were to be eating 10,000 calories of fast food a day again, like I was when I was at my heaviest, my blood pressure was out of control, and probably at this point would have had an enlarged heart and clogged arteries and all that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
man, I don't even want to think about where I am. And so for that, the doctors are like, yeah, man, keep doing what you're doing and we'll figure this out, even if it takes time. So
Yeah.
for that, I'm very grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, you just gotta
Yeah.
be patient. Yeah.
And that's the name of the
I
game.
know this. Yeah.
We're like 3 years in and into this little journey. So patience is definitely something that I've learned, you know. Uh,
Yeah.
but
How
it'd be
was your
awfully
sleep?
nice if I didn't have to do another three.
Yeah, I know. How was your sleep with this? Because I can imagine being bloated, sleeping
Hmm.
well, and that can kind of be.
Yeah, it can be interesting. Some nights better than others. They told me initially like maybe sleep propped up, but I found that can actually make symptoms worse,
Mm.
which, I think that's just kind of the way that my body would be like, I don't know, like bent, like just in that right position, right where the, diaphragm and the hernia would meet, and like, because you have like a hole in your diaphragm, and like with the hiatal hernia, it's like literally the stomach protrudes through it, just kind of like that, and that's nasty. And so it's like if you're hunched over in your sleep or something like that, and you're just kind of like pinching that area, for me anyway, it seems to aggravate the bejeebers out of it.
Yeah,
So,
would make it worse.
yeah. And so
Hopefully that's
even
what's wrong, if they can just do a simple surgery and
Yeah. So, I mean, there are a few things on the table. One of the things that's being discussed is if we can prove definitively that the weight loss surgery is causing the neurologic symptoms, and they're not convinced yet that it
Right.
is.
I mean, the vagus nerve is tied all up in there in that same area where the surgery took place
And that's my thought.
and
So,
things like that.
that's
Yeah.
my thought. So, um, anyway, if we can prove that, and it would be a heck of a thing to be able to do that. But if we are able to prove that, then there is talk of reversing the weight loss procedure, at which point they would go in and fix the hernia at the same time. So that's months still down the road because there are, some other boxes that we have to check off before we get there.
Imagine a lot of testing, right?
Yeah.
Have you, I know it sounds ridiculous, but have you tried those weird stretching things where they stretch out the vagus nerve? Have you tried all the
Believe it or
goofy
not,
stuff?
yes.
Good
Yes. And
job.
those
Good
are
job. All
those are
right, good.
healthy. I've done
Okay,
those. I've
good,
done
good, good.
yoga,
Okay.
manual manipulation to get the,
Yes,
stomach
yes.
back in place.
Mhm.
Lots of breathing techniques. And like
Good,
this is something
good.
I was really surprised that Mayo was actually very big on.
Yeah.
Were going the holistic routes.
They want you fixed. They want you
Yeah.
fixed. My brother works there. He's an ER doctor there. So
Mhm.
yeah, they're very much into just let's get this fixed no matter what we have to do. They're very
Yeah.
open to whatever they need to do.
It's the best of both
It's a
worlds.
fantastic place.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
I even met a woman who went into like energy healing after working as a nurse practitioner there
Oh,
for many, many,
wow.
many years.
Wow.
I was like, wow.
Wow.
She's like, yeah, I used to do this on my patients when I was still, making rounds at the hospital. I was like,
That's
that's
awesome. Can you
wild.
imagine a
Yeah.
doctor that would actually spend the time with you to do that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, what a
That's
thing.
fantastic.
And look, 3 years ago, to be honest with you, like I would have been very dismissive of such a thing.
When you get desperate, you're very open-minded. Yeah.
Yeah. And finding that, some of the stuff really helps, like the breathing in particular, just like,
That's
and like learning how to breathe and just like
that box
calming things.
breathing that you're
Yeah.
talking about. Yeah, it's very
Box
helpful.
breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, belly
Mhm.
breathing, give it a name.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
the end result is typically the same.
I think I
Um,
heard you mention acupuncture, right? You were doing.
Acupuncture I've done. Yeah, man. That was interesting, especially when they were going like right through the area where the hernia was, man. Boy, you want to talk about feeling a jolt. But then like everything calmed down pretty quickly thereafter.
That's kind of cool.
Like most people think
Yeah.
acupuncture needles are short, and a lot of them are, man. But like my acupuncture, she came in with a needle that was like as long as this pen,
Oh, that would make
and
me
like
panic.
went right through the diaphragm. Like you could have had a sword fight with this needle. Like it's just like huge.
That's
And she's like,
incredible.
yeah, but she got it in there, and like I said, once you get past that initial shock, it's like, oh, it's like suddenly the body calms down again. It was like that was interesting. Let's do it again.
You're right.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do
It's
that.
giving you relief of symptoms. It's really important.
Yeah. So, and I would leave there pretty much asymptomatic and be
So,
able to stay that way for, gosh, at least like 3 hours. And like that was the
Yeah.
sweetest 3 hours of my life. I was like, okay. And now as we learn more, so I haven't done that in about a year,
mhm.
but now as we've learned more about the hiatal hernia and how it can slide in and out of place, like, 3 hours and then like it comes, you know,
It goes back
back
up.
up,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like a groundhog looking for its shadow essentially.
No.
And so and so like that would explain, where that relief came from. It's just like allowing the body to relax, the muscles to relax so it could fall back into place. So
Yeah.
that's the big prevailing theory right now. So we'll see where things go from here.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
fortunate with my hernia. Like I said, it's inguinal.
yeah,
A lot of people don't experience any pain. I just have a bulge that shows, but
yeah,
it goes away. But I've had friends that have hernia, the hiatal hernia you're talking about.
yeah.
It could be really uncomfortable for them.
Mm,
It's pretty
So
uncomfortable.
mm.
I feel your pain because I hear a lot of horror stories about it.
Well, thanks. I mean, yeah, and I don't want to say, yeah, it's just a hernia. Like, this is clearly the hernia from hell. And
Yeah.
so we've got that, and like I said, probably something else going on too. And with hypersensitive nerves at the moment, maybe it just makes it feel 10 times worse. I don't know. Like everything right now is still a mystery. I do know that one of the terms that Mayo has given me is like you're a zebra among zebras.
Oh, no. Nobody wants to ever be the zebra among zebras.
So I thought about that too. But I was like, you know what? Like if it's going to happen to somebody, let it happen to me, because at least I feel like I'm just kind of built mentally for this kind of stuff as much as I don't enjoy it. I feel
No.
like I've got the fortitude there and at the end of the day, like my goal now is well, one, get better, but then two, I want to be a case study, man. Like I want to see my
Yeah,
stuff
help others.
published.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
publish me, you know?
I
And I
agree.
think that we're finally coming to a point in the case where it might just happen. It
Yeah.
might just happen when we get this thing solved.
And indirectly, you're
Yes.
helping a lot of people,
You are helping so
a lot of
many
Oh, I
people
know.
people.
going through
I've
this.
I've heard from so many people who have reached out. I mean, literally hundreds of people who've reached out with their own ailments. And I wish I could respond to everybody individually, but there are a few that really just like were heartbreaking, and they felt such guilt and shame about doing everything right and still finding themselves in this
But
position.
see, the thing is, even if you were to do everything right, you're still living in an imperfect human body on the
Yeah.
planet Earth. I mean, things are still going to go wrong. We can't, what we're doing is we're optimizing the environment for so that when things do go wrong, we heal faster and get answers in a much, a better way. I think that's
Yeah,
what the whole point is,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
And you
it'll
also
be all
have to
right.
keep in mind there's always somebody worse off than you. I mean,
Oh,
there's
yeah,
Oh, no
much,
question.
people
much
out
No
there
worse.
that
question.
are just, in
I
awful
mean,
shape.
yeah, we've ruled out all of the, really, really, really bad stuff. So
Good.
I'll be around even if I'm not feeling my best, knock on wood for, there we go, some time to come,
My
hopefully
goal
a
is to be
long
like
time.
Mike Young, live to be 150. I have that mindset.
God bless Mike Young and his 150 goal. Dude, if I just get to 100, I'm good. I'm not trying to be greedy. But you know what? Get to 150, man. You do you. You
Do
do
it,
you.
do
Yep. Of
it.
course, the AI is going to be taking over, and who knows what it'll be like then. But
Well,
not even gonna think about it.
Yeah.
that's a whole other show, Rich.
Yes,
That's a
it
whole
is.
other show, man.
Yes, it is.
It is.
Yeah. So one thing I'd like to end with, because I know a lot of our audience likes to hear this, is what do you typically eat in a day? I know it's changed since your condition past couple of years, but now being
Oh
bloated
man.
every once in a while, does your diet change? What's a typical day?
So, well, I'll just run you through today. So this morning I had Ezekiel cereal, the golden flax kind, very clean, clean, clean ingredients. I had that with almond milk and frozen blueberries, and it was every bit as delicious as I thought it would be. And then I had my daily cup of espresso. I found a love for that with this because I found like in terms of just putting less volume in the stomach sometimes is easier. So just do a cup of espresso as opposed to a full cup of coffee, still get the same effects, and life is good. And then you can sip on like a decaf iced coffee, throughout the rest of the day just because I like the flavor. Lunch, like I just told you, it was the lentils, the black beans, the carrots, the spinach with a pinch of hot sauce there. And then I did have some carrots and hummus with that. And that was quite tasty. And then tonight I'm going to do my famous kitchen sink salad, which is, all the roast vegetables that I have in the refrigerator, some broccoli sprouts that I've got there. Put that on a bed of greens, probably more carrots and hummus. I think hummus should be like twice a day mandatory for
I
everybody.
agree.
Oh
I
yeah,
love
it's
them.
so good.
Delicious.
I
Yeah.
mean,
And I
yeah.
love sprouts too that you mentioned.
Oh, so good, man. Yeah, such good flavor. And then instead of doing salad dressing tonight, we'll use probably like really softly baked sweet potato, so it's like nice and tender, and then kimchi on top of that because I do love me some fermented food, especially the
That's so
kimchi.
good. Yeah.
And then in that case, because you got the really soft potato in there plus the kimchi, you don't need the dressing, so it keeps the
No,
fat content really low.
I agree.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's quite
Do
tasty.
you grow
Sounds so
your own
good.
sprouts?
You must be crazy, sir. You're talking to Mr. Anti-Green Thumbs over here. I will gladly support all the local farmers in the world, but
I'm
I
not doing
can't
some
grow
either, but
anything.
Doug Evans, he taught me,
Did he?
well, and not personally, but I mean, I've been following him and yeah, I grow my own sprouts now,
It's good, Rich.
especially the broccoli sprouts.
Good deals, man.
Yeah,
Good deal.
yeah.
I'm with Chuck on this one. I'm just buying it.
Yep. Support your local farmer,
I
man.
mean, I buy them too. Yeah. They're not perfect. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Chuck, has been an honor, and I hope you'll come back because our audience are, we're going to want updates, as you find the
Yeah.
answers, especially when you find a cure, which I know you will.
Oh, yeah. You're going
Yeah.
to find it. It's going to happen.
You
It
guys
will.
have my word. It would be an honor to come back. There are still many chapters to be written, so I can't wait to share them with you.
Definitely,
Okay.
definitely. I look forward to it.
Right.
Let me